Okay, so we got our rough profile finished. Now what we want to do is we want to put these bevels on both sides. This is going to be, you know, that shiny part on the knife that goes not quite all the way. Well, sometimes it goes all the way, but it's what makes that from being a rectangle profile to a wedge shaped profile. This is the start to our cutting element of this knife. So we want to grind away at an angle right there. And to do that, I need a center line down the middle of that edge. Just to make it easier to see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a black Sharpie and I'm just going to paint it black. This is the same kind of thing as when we were scribing the outline onto the raw steel. We want a black background, so when we scratch that center line, it's a nice shiny line with a black background. Makes it really easy to see. Probably won't be easy to see on the camera because it's kind of a cheap camera, but I can see it. So we got our black on there. Now to get our center line, I have here a drill bit that's the same thickness as this. This is a 3/16 inch in diameter drill bit. This is 3/16 inch thick steel. So what I want to do is, I got a flat surface. I set my knife down on the side. Take my drill bit. I'm going to set that down the same surface, and I'm just going to scratch that edge. I'm going to do that again. See if we can't get a little bit brighter of a line. There. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up very well, but what we have there is a nice shiny line that's perfectly in the center of that width right there. And that's going to be our guide. When we grind our bevels, we're going to take meat off on this plane. We're also taking meat off up here. So this lets us know exactly where the center is, so we know not to go that far. If we've gone that far, we've gone too far, and this is pretty much ruined. So yeah, now it's time to grind. Okay, we got our grinder here, our belt grinder, and we're going to get ready to start grinding the bevel. But first, what I want to do is, if I just like this is now, with this 90-degree angle right there, if I also turn this belt grinder on, just start, so you can see it, if I just start grinding away at it like that, that 90-degree edge is pretty sharp, and it's going to take a brand new, well, this isn't a brand new belt, this one is, but it's going to take a belt, and that angle is going to just strip all the grit off this belt. Going at this shallow angle that I'm probably going to have to go at, it'll destroy that belt. So what I want to do is, I kind of call it a preliminary grind. I'm going to hold this at a pretty steep angle, you know, almost a 45-degree angle like that. And I'm going to break these 90-degree edges. And what that'll do is, when I switch over to a new belt with lots of heavy grit on it, it's not going to destroy that belt because I broke that sharp edge on it. That saves belts, and wherever you can save money, that is a huge plus. So I'm going to get my safety stuff on here, and we're going to break that edge on this old used belt. I'm probably going to throw this belt away after this. It's really old. I've used it a lot, and it's time. Okay, you can kind of see how I've broken that edge. It's a pretty steep angle. Now when I put this new belt on and I really want to start hogging material, it's not going to destroy that belt right off the bat. Time for a new belt. That one's garbage. Okay, now we're ready to hog on those bevels. I probably won't show you the whole thing because it can be time consuming. It could take a while, so I'll probably just show you the beginning, show you how I do it, and I'll probably stop the video and start it again later when it's finished, so I can show you what the finished looks like. But I'll get it going, and I'll show you a few shots of it while it's in process, so you can kind of get an idea. So, here we go. Yeah, so you can kind of see that bevel's coming up. So I'm going to be here while doing this, and like I said in one of my earlier videos, I bought 60 grit instead of 36 grit belt, so it's going to be a little bit more time on grinding, but it'll still work. So you can kind of see that, and I'll show you when it's done. You'll see what it looks like. Okay, there's our knife bevel. They went ahead and did both sides. You can see it's really starting to take shape now. It looks like a knife. You know, it almost looks like it could cut, but it's not sharp yet. So what I ended up doing, you know, you saw me start freehand, just doing that, but that's really tricky. That takes a lot of skill. So I'm able to get quite a ways just freehanding it, but it gets to a certain point where it just becomes so touchy. A slight movement this way, just the slightest movement will make a big old line right there. So what I end up doing is I got this piece of angle iron, perfect 90-degree angle. I clamp that with a C-clamp like that. That way I'm able to set that whole assembly right there. This table tilts, and I tilt it forward. What we're doing is we're tilting this whole assembly into it like that. When I get the angle right, I just run it across. And even when it's touchy, make a slight movement and then puts that big old line in it, that thing's pretty stable. And you come out with bevels that look nice and straight and uniform like that. You know, you got a nice curve right there. You know, your plunge lines are even. You know, if you look at it that way, you know, plunge line on this side matches plunge line on that side. And I don't know if you can see it, but there's still that line right in the center of that. And what you want to have the same amount of material on both sides of that. Now, I left it a little bit thick because we're going to heat treat this knife now. This knife is ready to heat treat. And the thing about heat treating is, if I was to just grind both sides down to a sharp point, when I heat treated it, once I get it red hot and I stick it in that oil, a piece of metal that thin to a sharp point, that thing's going to warp and pull out of the oil. It's going to be all wobbly. So before heat treat, you want to leave some material on there, about thickness of a dime or so, a good millimeter, a millimeter and a half maybe. But that'll protect it from warping on the edge, because once you do that raises all kinds of problems. So leave it a little bit thick. We're going to heat treat this knife now, and after we heat treat it, we're gonna finish grind it. We're going to take some of that. We're going to do the same thing we just did. And with that, we do that because when you have hardened steel, it's a lot harder to take material off with a belt. So what we want to do is we want to take the bulk of our material off before it's heat treated, before it's hardened. Because once it's heat treated, it takes a lot longer to remove material, and you run the risk, because this gets hot right here, you run the risk of losing your temper on the edge, because it's going to be so thin at that point. It's going to conduct heat very easily, and it's going to lose heat very easily. When that happens, you lose your temper, and you can warp your edge just by grinding, just like that. So yeah, we're going to heat treat this. We're going to come and finish grind it, and we're going to sand, these flat edges. We're going to sand that smooth. I'm probably going to take it to about 1,000 grit finish, and it's going to look real sharp. So yeah, that's the rough grind of the bevels.